Use the dot plot to answer the questions. The dot plot shows data for the number of states each student in Miss Hassan's class has visited outside of the state in which they live. Number 1 asks how many students are in Miss Hassan's class. So you're going to count how many dots are represented in the dot plot. What is the most common number of states visited? You're going to look for the one that has the highest dots. How many students have visited 4 states? So you're looking at 4 states and how many dots are represented there. Same for 5 states and 6 states. How many students have visited 2, 3, or 4 states? So for that one, we have 2, 3, and 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 students who have visited 2, 3, or 4. Which expressions are equivalent to 6 times a half times 9.5? Here I have 6 times a half times 10 minus a half. 10 minus a half is the same as 9.5, so that is equivalent. This one I have 6 times half of 9. Well, half of 9 is 4.5 plus half of a half, which is 0.25. 6 times 4.5 plus 0.25, that would be 6 times 4.75. Is half of 9.5 4.75? Yes, that one would be equivalent. Then I have 6 times 9.5 plus half of 9.5. Is that equivalent? Here I have 6 times 9.5. That takes care of these two. But a half times 9.5 would be 4.75 and is 6 times 9.5 plus that, the same as this piece here. No. 6 times a half, that piece is the same, times 9 plus 0.5, well, that comes out to 9.5, so that one works. 6 times 9.5 over 2, well, if we were to put an invisible 1 down here, that would be 9.5, and the denominator would be 2, so that one is also equivalent. This says solve your assigned problem and show your thinking, solution process, and answers on chart paper. Since this is going to be done independently, I'm going to work through these problems on the video for you to write down in your book. In class, this type of problem would be done in a different way, but since you're watching the video today, you're going to follow along in your classwork to complete the problems. Number 2, your parents are decorating your dining room and have asked you to help. They would like to put 2 paintings on the wall. The wall is 10 2/3 feet wide. Each painting is 25 inches wide. Your parents would like the paintings to be hung, so the distance between the nearest edges of the paintings is the same distance between the opposite edge as the distance between the opposite edge of each painting and the nearest edge of the wall. Determine the distance between the paintings. So I'm going to put the variable here because I don't know how far apart those distances are. I'm going to change these into inches instead of feet. 10 times 3 is 30, plus 2 more is 32 over 3, but I know there are 12 inches per foot. I can reduce as I go. 3 fits into 3 one time and into 12 4 times. 32 times 4 would be 128. So this is 128 inches instead of writing it in feet. So now I have x plus x plus x, the 3 variables, plus the two 25-inch paintings has to equal the total distance on the wall, which is 128. I can combine like terms here. X plus x plus x is 3x. 25 plus 25 is 50. Then the goal is to move all the number pieces together and all the variable pieces to the other side. So 3x remains over here on the left. And then if I subtract 50 from 128, I get 78. Then divide both sides by 3. Three fits into 7 twice. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down the 8. 3 fits into 18 6 times. So to determine the distance between the paintings, that is 26 inches. Number 3. Eve, Sean, and Sohi are volunteer firefighters. During a fundraiser, they each spend time collecting change. Sean collects $42.50 more than Eve, and Sohi collects $15 less than Sean. The 3 firefighters collect a total of $125.95. How much does each person collect? So I have Sean, Eve, and Sohi. It says Sean collects $42.50 more than Eve. So I'm going to say Eve has X amount of money. Sean collects $42.50 more than that. So I'm going to take Eve's money and add $42.50 to it. And so he collects $15 less than Sean. Well, if Sean's is this amount, then to collect 15 less than that, we can subtract by 15. The 3 firefighters collect a total of $125.95. So if we add up all of their amounts, it should equal $125.95. So this, I can subtract 15 from 42.50. I can also combine my x terms and my number terms here. Well, 42.50 plus 42.50 would be $85. And then we can subtract 15, which would give me 70. And I have 1, 2, 3 x's. So again, we want to move those numbers together. So I'm going to subtract it from both sides. Which is $55.95. I can divide both sides by 3 to get x by itself. Three fits into 5 once. 3 fits into 25 8 times. 3 fits into 19 6 times. And 3 fits into 15 5 times. So that is Eve's amount. To figure out Sean's, we need to add 42.50 to that. So Sean collects $61.15. And then to get Sohi's, we need to subtract $15 from that. 11 minus 5 is 6. 5 minus 1 is 4. So Sean collects 61.15. Eve collects 18.65. And so he collects 46.18. Each year, Major League Baseball teams report their operating income. This represents how much money a team earns before it pays interest or taxes. The diagram shows the operating income in millions of dollars for the Toronto Blue Jays from 2009 to 2018. Over this 10-year period, what was the Toronto Blue Jays' mean operating income? What does this number tell you? To calculate the mean, that's an average, so we're going to add them all up and divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is in millions, so you can keep that in mind as well. Personally, I'm going to add all of the positives together, and then I'm going to remove the negatives separate. You can try a different strategy if you'd like to. So I have 13.1, 3.6, 24.9, 1.2, and 22.9. Alright, so 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 9 is 16. Plus 2 is 18. 18 plus 9 is 27. Keep that decimal spot lined up the whole way. 2 plus 3. I say times the whole time. 2 plus 3 is 5. Plus 3 is 8. Plus 4 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. Plus 2 is 14. Two plus 2 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. This one should be 15, not 14. Oops. That should be a 5 there. Okay, so those are the positives. Now let's look at the negatives. We have 4.8, 14.9, 17.9, 1.3, and 16. 8 plus 9 is 17, plus 9 is 26, plus 3 is 29. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 7 is 17, 18, 24. 3, 4, 5. Keep that decimal lined up. These are the negatives. Now we're going to subtract them. Keep in mind that the positives has a greater absolute value, so our final answer will be a positive. We will need to regroup or borrow. 17 minus 9 is 8. 4 minus 4 is 0. 6 minus 5 is 1. Now this is for a 10-year period, so we're looking for the average, meaning we also have to divide our total by 10. Dividing by 10 moves that decimal to the left one spot, so this is 1.08 million. It also asks, what does this number tell us? Since it's positive, it tells us over the 10 years, they made a profit. They made money. Problem 5. A golfer's score in relation to par is recorded as an integer. A positive integer indicates a score above par. 0 indicates a score of par. A negative integer indicates a score below par. The dot plot shows the total scores of 48 golfers during the tournament. What is the mean score for these golfers? So we're adding them all up and then dividing by 48. What is the winner's score? So we're looking at the mean score first. Now, you might notice that there is a negative 12 and a positive 12. Those add together to make 0. So I can just eliminate one set of those. I see a 10 here. I can add 10 and negative 10 to get 0. There's an 8 here with a negative 8, a negative 7 and a positive 7, a negative 6 and a positive 6, 2 negative 5s with 2 positive 5s, a positive 4 and a negative 4, positive 3, negative 3, positive 2, negative 2, a 1 and a negative 1. Zeros don't need to be bothered with. So now I have negative 11, negative 10, 2 negative 8s, 2 negative 4s, 2 negative 3s. Ooh, wait. 2 negative 3s and a negative 6. Or sorry, 2 negative 3s and a positive 6 together make 0. A negative 1. I have a positive 5, a positive 7, and a positive 12. A negative 4 and a negative 1 and a positive 5 make 0, so cross off a negative 1 and a negative 4. A negative 8 and a negative 4 combined with a 12. Now I have 3 negatives to consider and 1 positive. I have negative 11 and negative 10, which would make negative 21. And a negative 8 make negative 29 plus 7, which puts me at negative 22. That was for all of the golfers. We need to divide by 48 to get the mean. We could divide both of those by 2. Negative 11 24ths. We could change it to a decimal. And then it also asks, so this was the mean. What was the winner score? The winner scored negative 12. The winner is the lowest score. So here is another problem for 5 where it shows Nora's group work. It says the sum of the remaining data values can be found the following way. Negative 11 plus plus -10, plus 2 -8s, plus 2 -4s, plus 2 -3s, and so on. So the average score can be found -22/48 or -11/24, which they also have the decimal there as well. You can see they crossed out several values as well, where a negative and a positive added to 0. So just a different strategy. You might have listed out -8 and -8 separately. This team wrote down that there were 2 -8s in this format. Please make sure that your workbook is filled in with all of the work, not just the answers, and that your warm-up is completed.